It's 2317, a blacked-out night above the Russian nuclear storage complex called Belgorod 22. Sirens rip through concrete tunnels. Floodlights snap on, then flicker as generators kick in. Far to the south, over the Black Sea, 6 Caliber cruise missiles arc toward Ukraine, low and fast. On the Russian side, jamming drones lift off and begin to smear the air with noise. Panzer and Tor crews scramble, loading belts and shouting ranges. Across the border, Ukrainian Patriot batteries answer. 4 white lances punch up and blossom, tearing 2 tracks from the sky. But 2 keep coming, riding terrain, hugging the river valleys. Radios crackle, maps scatter, boots hammer the corridor floors. The base commander orders sealed doors and weapons safed, then reverses in an instant as new returns pop onto the scope. Somewhere in the dark, a fuel alarm shrieks. Somewhere else, a pilot straps in. No one knows which minute is the last one. The battle is already here, and the next decisions decide who walks out alive. By dawn, the strikes aren't dots on a radar. They're a fight over what can burn and what must be saved. Belgorod 22 is more than fences. It stores nuclear fuel, shelters, bombs, stockpiles, and anchors control. Hours earlier, 6 Calibers leapt from the Black Sea. 4 died to Patriot fire, but 2 hit Dnipro and Pavlograd, collapsing a drone workshop and cutting power lines. Those hits force Kyiv's hand. Waiting invites more waves. Acting now risks escalation. The choice becomes Operation Black Swarm. Stakes reach far past the border. Each Russian missile is cheaper to launch than to stop. A miss means factories and bridges torn open. Oil desks watch every plume. Fear lifts prices and squeezes families an ocean away. NATO tracks the feeds and inches alert levels upward. Because one bad strike near a nuclear site can ripple into panic and policy in hours. If Ukraine can't blunt the tempo, Moscow keeps the initiative and the story writes itself. Attacker dictates, defender absorbs. If Ukraine strikes the base feeding those salvos, the story flips suddenly. The Kremlin's shield looks full of seams. Markets, embassies, and families all wait on the same clock. Black Swarm threads new tools into old grit. Decoy drones in MiG-29 seconds seed false targets to scramble Panzer and Tor crews. HIMARS and M777 reach for fuel yards, ammo tunnels, and barracks. Swarms ride low with TM62 charges to shred radars. Leopard 2 seconds and T-64 seconds wait to punch through if a gap opens. Simple to describe, brutal to execute. Crews count interceptors like oxygen. The aim is plain. Blind the eyes, drain the fuel, break the rhythm. Quick pulse check, without breaking stride. Press 1 if the defender should unleash the swarm tonight. 9 if Russia's layered air defense will break it. And subscribe so you're here when the next move lands. 10-5, just outside Sumy. The first phase of Black Swarm lifts off. 15 decoy drones rise, engines buzzing across the dawn sky. 2 MiG-29 seconds climb behind them, carrying pods that spit electronic noise. On Russian screens, the picture turns messy. Tracks multiply, targets overlap, and radar crews can't tell ghost from real. Panzer turrets fire into empty air. Tor launchers ripple missiles into decoys. For minutes, the defense wastes fuel and focus on shadows. Then, the real swarm arrives. At 1:12, 40 strike drones with TM62 charges dive low. Small, cheap, deadly. They slam into fences, towers, and radars. Explosions scatter shards across the base. One Panzer is torn apart. Another turret burns in silence. HIMARS rockets whistle overhead and smash the fuel yard. Fireballs climb. Smoke merges with the night sky. Ukrainian M777 seconds. Pound barracks and checkpoints. Each strike blinds sensors and cuts supply. Russian operators scramble. Radars flicker. Crews rush reloads, but gaps widen. At 1:18, 70 more drones surge in quadcopters packed with explosives, harder to track and hit. MiG-29 seconds launch AGM-88 Hectares RMs, homing on the last radars. Missiles dive, strike, and silence the screens. On the Ukrainian net, window open, 5 minutes. EW teams confirm jammers holding. Artillery calls splash. HIMARS reloads. Drone pilots steer charges through blown wire and doors. A TOR tries to reposition, clips a crater, and a quadcopter detonates on its deck. Fire crews drag hoses, but leaking fuel reignites. Across the border, Ukrainian tanks roll. Leopard 2 seconds and T-64 seconds push under artillery smoke. Engineers clear a lane. Recon marks hotspots so the swarm avoids friendlies. A Russian company forms near a roadblock. Drones drop TM-60, 2 seconds to block it, and M777 seconds hammer the lane. UAV teams swap batteries and antennas. EW hops frequencies to keep the curtain intact. A Leopard platoon radios contact front as shrapnel skims the glasses. But the column holds. For the first time, Belgorod 2-2 is exposed. Inside, orders clash, defend, retreat, or seal doors. Radios cut. One post loses power, another switches to backup. The choice is seconds long, but each one echoes in fire. If the defense breaks here, the next doors to open are the ones no one planned to see. The first wave has smashed holes, but Russia still has teeth. Surviving Pantsir crews rearm from scattered trucks, dragging crates into position. TOR batteries shuffle deeper, spreading out to cover angles the swarm has not yet struck. Operators shout over static as jammers bend their screens into fog. Still, missiles fire. Some drones fall in spirals, their charges detonating in the fields. Others break through, carving scars into bunkers and tanks. Ukraine pushes harder. HIMARS launches another volley, striking depots that ignite with rolling blasts. M777 seconds pound roadblocks, trying to pin reinforcements. Drone operators steer quadcopters into moving armor, guiding them down engine grills or under hatches. Every success slows Russia's response, but not enough. Several drones are swatted mid-air by autocannons, fragments scattering across the runway. A Leopard crew calls in that return fire is intensifying. The longer they wait, the more the gap closes. At 1:24, chaos spreads inside Belgorod 2-2. Fires roar through hangars, command posts bark conflicting orders. Yet defenders cling to ground, hurling everything left. Machine guns chatter from rooftops, tracer lines slicing at the low swarm. One TOR finds its rhythm, knocking out 5 drones in a row, buying minutes. Ukrainian crews grit their teeth, aware the next moments decide if the base collapses or if the assault stalls at the gates. New problems stack up. A punctured line feeds fire. Heat cooks off ammo and pops. Engineers crawl forward to clear wire. Medics drag a driver behind a burned truck. MiG-29 seconds confirm. Harm strikes. Radars dim, not dead. Russian guns hose drone lanes. Counter-battery radars throw shells back. Recon spots a convoy edging in. M777 fire brackets the road. One truck blooming into fire. HIMARS slams another pad near the fuel yard. Secondary blasts thud like a drum. Drone pilots drop lower, hiding in ground clutter and wakes. Pressure mounts on both sides. Russia bleeds but isn't broken. Ukraine is inside but far from safe. The clash narrows to stamina, reload speed, and nerve. One more push might shatter the defense. One more stand might hold the line. Viewers, what's your call? Hit 1 if the swarm breaks through. 9 if Russia holds the walls. And don't forget to subscribe, because the fight isn't slowing down here. Just when the swarm seems to overwhelm the base, a new threat appears. Russian crews unleash a hidden layer of defense. Compact loitering drones launched from concealed crates. They skim low, faster and harder to spot, weaving through the chaos like hornets. Instead of chasing the strike drones, they target the operators. Signals are traced, and suddenly Ukrainian drone feeds stutter with static. Pilots shout over broken links as screens freeze, forcing them to switch to backup channels. For the first time, the swarm feels hunted. On the ground, Russian squads deploy man-portable jammers. Small antennas rise on rooftops, frying signals within narrow arcs. Several Ukrainian drones drop from the sky, their circuits cooked. Others spiral out of control, slamming into empty soil. The twist is clear. Russia has learned, and it is fighting swarm with swarm. Ukrainian commanders respond in seconds. MiG -29 seconds bank in and fire more harms at the jammer nodes, slashing at rooftops and antenna fields. HIMARS batteries shift aim, dropping guided rockets onto suspected control vans, but time is bleeding away. Leopard crews advance, reporting heavier fire at choke points. Engineers blast open passages, yet incoming loitering drones dive at the armor, detonating near turrets and track skirts. Crews fire machine guns upward, swatting at shapes racing just above treeline. Every move now cuts both ways. Ukraine's swarm still presses, but Russia's counter-swarm forces adaptation on the fly. The battle is no longer only missiles against bunkers. It is swarms versus swarms, speed versus speed, and in this new phase, every second matters even more. The fight reaches knife range. At 1:30, the last defensive line at Belgorod 2 braces as Ukrainian armor pushes through the smoke. Leopard 2 seconds advance side by side, their cannons firing into bunkers. T-64 seconds trail behind, spewing machine gun fire into windows and rooftops. Above them, the sky glows orange with fuel fires, turning night into day. Russian defenders rally for a final stand. Tor launchers fire blind, saturating the air with missiles. Autocannons shred the horizon, some shells striking drones, others plowing dirt and concrete. A loitering drone slams into a Leopard's side, forcing the crew to bail out under cover of comrades. Another tank absorbs a hit, shrugs it off, and keeps rolling. Inside the base, squads pull back into hardened shelters, firing as they retreat. Ukrainian swarm operators push everything forward. The last wave of drones dives almost point blank, skipping over barricades to slam into doors and vents. Explosions rock the command bunker. Flames roar from the fuel yard. HIMARS adds a final salvo, smashing the runway and cutting escape routes. MiG -29 seconds swoop low, firing their last harms into scattered jammers. Every strike clears another path for armor to press inside. Inside the bunker ring, a blast door jams. Sappers set a charge, blow the hinges, and push smoke through the gap. A squad rushes in. Strobes mark cleared rooms. Prisoners are disarmed and rushed out while a gun team posts at the bend. The climax comes in seconds. Autocannons thump non-stop, tracers weaving walls of fire. But drones keep slipping through. One detonates inside a hangar, cooking off parked bombers. Another hits a fuel truck, sending a shockwave across the base. A Leopard bursts through the gate, its gun blazing, followed by infantry squads charging in under cover. The defenders falter, broken by fire from every side. Both sides bleed, but only one can hold. Russia throws its last reserves in a desperate countercharge. Ukraine meets them head-on with armor, artillery, and the swarm's final drones. The clash is brutal, metal against metal, fire against fire. And in this moment, the outcome teeters collapse or survival, victory or ruin. Viewers, what do you think? Press 1 if Ukraine's push secures the base. 9 if Russia holds its ground. And subscribe, because the story of this battle is far from over. By sunrise, Belgorod 2 is silent. Fires rage, smoke towers high enough for satellites, and scattered blasts echo from ammo cooking off. What was once a fortified nuclear hub now lies in ruins. Ukrainian tanks idle near shattered gates, barrels still hot. Drone operators shut down consoles with trembling hands. The base that was supposed to be secure has been cracked open. The cost is staggering. Russia loses hundreds of troops, aircraft, and billions in infrastructure. Fuel depots burn, command posts lie buried, and bombers once launching strikes are blackened hulks. For Moscow, the damage is more than physical, it is humiliation. A facility tied to nuclear storage, meant to be untouchable, is shown vulnerable. Allies and enemies alike are watching. For Ukraine, victory carries a price. Drones are gone, Patriots need reloads, and crews are exhausted. But the strike proves something vital. Swarms of cheap systems can overwhelm layered defenses. HIMARS, M777 seconds, and tanks work together to pierce one of Russia's hardest sites. NATO raises alert, oil markets spike 9%, and the world measures what comes next. Crews move quickly, cutting power, mapping hotspots, marking rooms unsafe to enter, Evac trucks pull villagers out. Loudspeakers warn of smoke and shifting winds. This aftermath is not closure, it is escalation. Russia may answer with larger waves or deeper strikes. Ukraine may double down, refining swarm tactics. In capitals, cables fly and phones light up. Deterrence holds for a day, but thresholds blur. Cheap autonomy is rewriting costs by the hour. The question is not whether the war changes, but how violently. Viewers, where do you stand? Press 1 if Ukraine's breakthrough shifts momentum, 9 if Russia's response reverses it, and subscribe, because the next phase may be even more dangerous than the one we've just witnessed.